Mm-hmm.
has been imperfect toward people of color, African, historically. Poor people, it's been class wars. So if the process wasn't quick to get us here, then the process should be quick to get us out. I think if you look for the best of us, if you try to put the best face forward, the best case forward, I think you hurt the whole process. Just put people forward, people who learned, people who grew, people who became better men by self-examination, by doing by accident what society required us to do. I think that's the way we move forward.
Yeah, about 100 years ago, in this country, there were a group of people who decided like prisons had to do more than just punish and warehouse folks. That they're going to go away for a little while and come back. And rehabilitation is a big part of it. So rather than a judge deciding a trial like that person should get 10 years or 5 years or 15 years or 50, how about after a little while, the sentenced person, the person in prison meets with a group of people who can assess them. And that's parole. That would be a parole board. It makes sense. It's like common sense in a lot of ways. So much so that it became the law of the land. And every state adopted a parole system eventually in the federal government. And then by about the second half of the last century, or the 1960s and 1970s, people in prison were like, this is not working. There's so many reasons why parole failed. One is that prisons do a really bad job at rehabilitation, that they're punitive and that they're criminogenic. They create more crime rather than like create the circumstances for people to reform. And also the parole board members were often political appointees, so there were a lot of prejudices. It was harder to connect with somebody who was different. And so people in prison and their supporters didn't want parole. Conservatives didn't want parole because they didn't like any system of release. And then so really like parole was doomed by the middle of the 1970s and beyond. One of the ironies of this is that what replaced parole, which these sort of indeterminate sentences, we replaced them with these fixed sentences that would get like a mandatory minimum amount of time. Those mandatory minimums just got longer and longer and longer. They were essentially in the hands of politicians who were always afraid of being accused of being soft on crime. Longer prison sentences, fewer options for release. And the third thing we did is we made it much more likely that somebody who commits an offense is going to serve time rather than some other form of punishment. That becomes the recipe for mass incarceration. We go from about, in Illinois, from about 5,000 people in prison, 5,600 or so in the 1970s, to 49,000. It's an incredible amount. Every state does this. whether you're Maine, whether you're New Mexico, California, Idaho, every state goes up with these percentages, as does the whole system overall. We go from about 200,000 in the country in prison, every federal and state prison, to about 1.6 million. And where we are now, that is that people in prison, including many of the men that you worked with, they want parole back. They want an option to just be assessed and seen by a parole board, and hoping to make the system better than the first time around.
Hi, Raul. Good, how are you? I know. Shay is here too, just so you know, she's on the call with us.
Hey, I'm feeling good. How you feeling?
I lost like 20 pounds since I left Stateville. I don't feel here.
Oh, wow.
Well, I can give you a few minutes of how I feel about it.
Okay.
First, you already know my story going through the juvenile system and how I was harmed, so I don't need to repeat that. You got that on footage, and I'll have different areas during the film and all that. If I feel that I could have come home to my family, then they deserve to come home to their loved ones, and their loved ones deserve to have them home just as much as my loved ones deserve to have me home.
I didn't know how central you were to my redemption. I didn't come in there looking for that experience, and I didn't know that you would offer that to me.
Well, I thank you because that was a formative time for me, you know?
It's crazy how we're pitted against each other by the system. We're made to be enemies, and we're banished from each other, and nothing is possible after that point. I'm always trying to help people understand that my favorite people in the world are buried alive, you know? How is it possible that my favorite people in the world are buried alive?
People ask me, well, what if these politicians, if they know that this system is screwed up, it's racist, it's long life sentences don't make the public safer, why don't they change the laws? Why don't they give us a way out? 1 minute remaining. And I'm like, because they feel we're not giving them anything in return. They're risking their careers to do that. And there's no political capital. They're expecting political currency. We're not giving them anything in return. We wish that our legislators can be viewed with that same feeling that you have right now by driving pieces of that work.
Shame.
And there's so much more I have to tell you, so I hope.
Sense of hope. When I first went into Stateville, I had the arrogance of mercy, thinking I had something to offer them, afraid of the people that we house in our prisons. I quickly learned our country's commitment to racism, legalized slavery, and quiet judicial homicide. My husband and I began working and advocating for these men through the nonprofit they started inside called Parole Illinois. I learned that the experiences of victims are leveraged against them, against their release. And when I couldn't be with them during COVID, I testified before legislators and hearings on behalf. Some of the men spent quarantine reading the People's Art History of the United States and other activism. And by the time I returned to Stateville in 2022 through PINA, they asked me to help them create a performance to introduce them to a world that would never meet them otherwise.
Somebody please open up the mics.
I'm the artistic director of Theater Y in Chicago, and I came into this work, namely education in prison, rather unexpectedly. On September 9th, 2017, I survived abduction and predatory sexual assault. I got into a car that I mistakenly believed was my Uber and was not released for 4 hours. My world collapsed. My assailant was never caught. I was diagnosed with PTSD and dissociated from my body, rendering me totally useless to my own theater. I received extensive movement therapy, a physical re-embodiment practice for trauma rehabilitation, and emerged from this therapy with renewed presence, cautious optimism, new tools, and a feeling that I may be the only survivor in the world who has ever received such care. I was compelled to pass this healing on to others. I discovered that trauma is stored in a part of the brain that has no access to language, that the body keeps the score. Hurt people hurt people. Responsible parties are traumatizing others out of their own complex traumas. I was now harboring a new and paralyzing fear of men. I risked positioning myself to be held hostage by my experiences, and I concluded that my healing likely required drawing closer to this fear. So I began teaching movement therapy for trauma rehabilitation at Cook County Jail and Stateville Correctional Facility. This work immediately complicated my narrative. We needed each other to heal. We needed to see one another, to confess and cry together, and to remember that I am because of who we all are. These men had the power to restore my faith in my fellow humans. When we banish those who have committed a crime from the world on behalf of the harmed party, we serve no one. Incarceration leaves a new trail of victims in its wake, more traumatized humans suffering between more bad choices, to say nothing of the harm done to the wrongfully incarcerated, or the cruelty of long-term sentences without parole. What good is justice without the possibility of change? There is no healing for any of us until there is healing for all of us. I personally do not feel safe inside a system that locks people up and throws away the key. Mercy has been my freedom and my oxygen as the world has become more frightening and complex. Until all of us are whole, none of us are safe. Last fall, these men asked if we could make a performance together, if I could help them introduce themselves to the world, to take the impossibly brave step of further burying their souls in what is already the most vulnerable of positions imaginable. What you are about to witness is just that. This performance is comprised of their last remaining possessions, their words, their flesh, and their unbound souls. We have named this play Not to Be.
Who am I? My contemporaneous ontology is 1619. My vocation is human. And although I've been called many things, I am. I'm Twa. I'm Sinur. I'm Kemet. I am Kun. I am Color. I am Other. I am Macadocial melanocious. And as I deal with over 400 years of culturally induced inferiority are self-perpetuating. I am.
Who am I? I'm the son of a preacher, the youngest of 13 siblings. I'm a father, an uncle, and a cousin. I'm a best friend, a boyfriend. I'm not just living in this world, but the world lives in me, and I'm more than what it seems at this moment.
Who am I? I'm love in its purest form. I am joy. Where am I coming from? I came from a place of destitute, meaning I didn't have the ability to apply myself to the world of man. Where am I going? I plan on going on top of life. And once I get there, I want to be a philanthropist. The poor must be cultivated to its purest form.
I am a tree, rooted in barren soil, soulfully solvent, powerful and royal. I come from a place where love has anchored itself in the unsettling sea, a God-fearing community that struggles to bend its knee. I am on a journey, trying to see life come full circle as I embody my zen, hoping to one day hold my grandchildren's children before I see them.
Who am I? I am roots. Where do I come from? Out of dry ground. Where am I going? Through the routes that was paved by my ancestors' road, to a place in the plains where other roots are huddled.
Who am I? I am mole, the sweet and spicy, reddish maroon-colored Nahuatl sauce. I am the chiles, the root vegetables, the pumpkin seeds, the sesame seeds, and the Mexican chocolate that give mole its unique earthy flavor. I am the way that is slowly cooked and blended for perfection. Where do I come from? I come from over 500 years of oppression caused by the conquistador legacy. The mixing of Spanish and Pre-Columbian, Mesoamerican indigenous blood. I come from two worlds but never really belonging to either. I speak the oppressor's language. I've adopted his dominant cultural norms. Where do I want to go? I want to go where the construct of skin color doesn't divide but unifies, where ideological disparities are blended like mole into human equities.
Who am I? I'm thinking about that mole Jimmy was just talking about. I'm also a son. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. I'm the proud father of one daughter, Maria. I'm a community organizer, agitator, and community builder. I'm a risk taker and activist who don't mind getting in good trouble. I'm coming from the place of inclusiveness, of one collective humanity, a universal community, if you will, where the spoken language is love.
I am my son's father. I love him. I am blessed. Where am I coming from? North Lawndale, East Garfield neighborhood, Marshall High School. Where am I going? Straight to the top. Believing, strong, with my brothers and sisters at hand. In a world full of abolitionists to turn this world upside down. That's who I am. That's where I come from, and that's where I'm going.
Who on this stage is a father? Who is a grandfather? A creator? A scientist? A therapist? Who has a high school diploma or GED? An undergraduate degree? A master's degree? Who's a poet? A scholar? A paralegal, a litigator, a policymaker, who's a teacher, an Afrofuturist, a minister, who's a feminist, an agent of restoration, of reconciliation, who's a Trump supporter. Who on this stage is a brother, an uncle, someone's son?
So I'm meeting my mother for lunch. As she approaches, I can quickly see how the years have worn away at her. She's got this thing where she likes to order food and bring it to me and serve me, and it makes me feel like I'm a little kid again at our kitchen table. My mom has shortly cropped hair, and it's dyed like a deep red or maroon. And she's got ripples in her hair like petals on a flower. It reminds me of an image of a red poppy that I saw on the cover of a calendar. And she's got these dark green eyes. But it's hard to see the exact hue of her eyes unless you look real carefully. So we're sitting down, eating, talking, and I'm trying not to let my mom catch me staring at her eyes. And it occurs to me, I've never had the vulnerability to tell my own mother how beautiful her eyes are. When it's time to leave, I give my mother a hug. And as she drapes her hood over her head, I catch a last glimpse of a flower scented with green eyes. Then my mother proceeds to leave out the stairs on the left. I exit out the stairs on the right. And the heavy door slams shut behind me. And the prison guard tells me, strip off your clothes, bend at the waist, and cough.
There was a time early during incarceration I was in segregation. And so my mom came to visit me. And I was embarrassed by my mother seeing me in that situation. Embarrassed because she drove all the way out here. And our visit was behind the glass, so she couldn't touch us. And to make matters worse, they brought me in, I was chained up. And then they chained me down to a chair, like I was an animal. And me being somewhat vain, I was embarrassed because my mother saw me unshaven. And so I'm looking like, what? I don't know. So as we proceeded through the visit, I realized that I actually needed this visit. I was glad to see my mom. You know, saying it's like a dark space. So it was the light of her love that helped me persevere that moment. And while I was worried about all the other nuances of the situation, the glass, the shackles, the chain, in the moment I knew that I was loved. I knew that I was more than B39522. I was more than that moment. I was her son.
When I first met my daughter, I remember I arrived about 20 minutes later, and I heard a baby crying. And when the door opened, Ms. Walker, she said, "There's your daughter." And I was mad, because this woman didn't even tell me that I had a daughter. And I looked at her, and she looked at me with them brown eyes, like, who is this stranger looking at me? And I picked up, and she stopped crying. And I kissed her, and I began to cry. But because our face was touching, my tears rolled down her face. I remember wiping my tears off her face, and she looked at me and smiled. At that moment, we were no longer strangers. I played with her for about 30 minutes and then left. Shortly after that, I was arrested for the crime I'm incarcerated for. Love and affection is the bonding element of all relationships. It's the glue to the human spirit.
They want to chain our minds until we change our minds, reduce our bloodline, drain our life with time. I keep looking for the sunshine tomorrow. Christ in my crisis, amongst the pain and sorrow. So horrible to see what we've grown to be. Animals they see, we under lock and key. They propaganda black hands murder more black men than the Klan. Rejected God's plan, prison doors slam. Am I as dangerous as they say that I am? I'm not an animal. I guess I'm a preacher. Did I reach it?
I get it. I get it. I get it. My mannerisms are abrasive. A stork face that's R-rated. You on the outside looking in though. Since my days as a kid playing Nintendo, I was the gist of innuendos. Plus my pops wasn't there. He was there but wasn't there. I'm a product of being beaten and avoiding muscle flares. What you see as the closed book is probably a puzzle there. You take the route that I took, you probably stumble there. I get it. I get it, I get it. Your perception and my reality clashes. My beauty defines me, but you perceive it as ashes. It's Muhammad, it's Cassius. But what it really is fascism. Depictions of a slave on the status for my blackness. I get it. I get it, I get it. If I was to talk with my hands, you would think of belligerent or aggressive. The extent of the equality message, a law for elites and a different law for us peasants. You only want Trump gone because these are racist and reckless. But if you're really being real, that's our essence. I get it. I get it, I get it. From shootouts to straight pimping, dark secrets we can't mention, tax cuts and late pensions, do abortions blame infants? What used to be a hole, we see the future in glimpses. I get it. I get it, I get it. The truth isn't straight or crooked, it's twisted, it's demented. To think that God is involved, or to believe in a God makes it hard to evolve. But to the message on pause, I admit that I'm flawed, and not likely the right one to answer this call. But if Trump could be elected, your perception is flawed. Like I care if you fail to mention this in your blog. I get it. I get it.
The last time that I cried in front of someone, when I was told on a visit that a childhood friend of mine had committed suicide. Rather than face incarceration, he took a gun and put it to his head and ended his life.
The last time I cried was when I learned the mother of my daughters had died of a heroin overdose. I don't like to think about it though, for the simple fact that if I had been on the streets, she would have never been introduced to heroin in the first place.
When was the last time I cried? Well, I grew up learning that it was good to cry. But I understand now that it's okay to cry. So let out your emotions through your tears. Since coming to prison, I lost my mother, my sister, my brother. So when I pull out the photos, that's when I cry. I remember I'll see them again.
Family and friends always ask, well, Stateville is like a medieval castle in a rural landscape. You enter through a big cement building called the administration building. But us on the inside, we know it as the master's house. This is where administrators process our lives, where number crunchers depreciate our value, where counselors distill our essence into brief counseling summaries. And when you get to Gate 5, past Gate 5 is where the plantation begins. You walk down a long corridor. Eventually you'll see the buildings, chain link fence, wire, gates. Then you'll see a group of men in prison blues walk towards you, shoulder to shoulder. As they draw nearer, you'll see that many of them are walking in crutches. Many are being wheeled in wheelchairs. As they draw even closer, you'll see many of them are gray and elderly. For these men, long-term care facilities only without the actual care. And these men are still paying a debt to society for mistakes they made 20, 30, and 40 years ago. And all these men, all of us, the debris of our deferred dreams, I say in the debris of our deferred dreams, litters the prison yard.
Captain, this living hell, my soul continues to be tortured for my worst day. I wait, I pray, and see structured movements of bodies that look like mine. I cannot see my whole face, for I've grown old and fat in this cage.
Change is coming, it's on the way, a brand new dawning, the breaking of day. The light will shine, no chains will bind, a world filled with peace, a lovely story. We shall overcome.
Prison ages you like a cake. Hope is my only ally, but it is fleeting with each day, month, and years. Time unglues the strongest bonds coupled with death. Yet I wait, I pray, and see structured movements of bodies that look like mine.
We shall overcome. One nation, one love. We shall overcome.
Social death killed me from truly being free. Now I live in a state of constant captivity. It's lonely, nasty, brutish, a shorter lifespan. This is the cruel and unusual punishment of death by incarceration. Society doesn't see me no matter what I achieve. Therefore, I wonder, am I a person?
A lot of people want to do it again after that, and a lot of people ask after that, how can I sign up? So that was good.
The best thing for me was I got to see some individuals who I've known for years in lights that I've never seen. You know, I'm not talking about the dancing. Even though that was great. I mean, some of their stories was different than I thought their stories would be. And even though I'm in this environment, been in this environment over 3 decades, like some of the stuff was shocking and touching to me. A couple of guys came up to me like hardcore inmates, prisoners, dudes, right? That's been 30 years told me that they cried. And I didn't know how to handle that.
You know, right up to the last minute, there were, you know, some censorship issues and what they had to discuss with the board and how they had their hand in it right up to the last minute. But, you know, nevertheless, I think it went off without a hitch. Everybody had a backup plan because we know that that's what we have to have around here is a backup plan, right? But the guys, wow, man, I'm so proud of everybody. Like to see the stigma that we live with, but to see the delivery and the performance, I congratulated these guys so hard because they deserved it. like, I don't want to start mentioning names, I just want to say everybody was amazing. Like, it was powerful stuff to see the type of men that these guys are turning into. Like, they're worthy, and I hope that life has something better for all of us in store. You know, in the cell house, guys coming up to me talking about how they were crying, and it relit a fire in them, and it inspired hope, and they want to be better, and they want to be a part of it. Like, we're getting, man, we're putting a good message out there. Like, what's going on in this school is extremely exceptional. I was just telling somebody when I first started doing this in 1997, this was not an opportunity. This was not an option. And what education we did have was not what we're doing now. This is education. This is community building. And man, I'm just so proud of how that whole thing went off. I was glad to be a part of it.
They feel very strongly that the fresh lens on them is my relationship to them as somebody who has survived a crime, and so that's, I think, been the most treacherous terrain for us to navigate, because it feels to be centering me in a way that is inappropriate and strange. But they felt that they were under such a credibility deficit that there was really no other way to overcome it than through the frame of.
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, the only thing I'd say is that I thought that the first 30 minutes of them in their own words does that work too, because they speak, it's in their own words. They're speaking with such honesty and rawness and tears and humor. They're able to, I mean, it's like we know, like in our work, that no, if you just come in here and see this, you're going to be changed. And you're able to, you did that. You brought the fire back.
Fuck you mean? I'm telling right now, fuck you mean. Hey, Polly, doing the filming. I'm about to do my take. My take on the film. Yeah, we're doing a play. Yeah. Don't fucking make me laugh. Don't, you better not say fucking, you better not say fucking, fuck you mean. Salutations, distinguished guests. I humbly welcome you, as it is an honor and a privilege to introduce you to Theater Wise. No, this is fun. Theater Wise. No, okay, about today, man.
Putting yourself out there to impact the world forever. Legacy. We get caught up in like the time that we miss, the time that we want to be there, and it puts like our mind in like this, or for me it does, it puts my mind like this text all the time, like in a box, like in these martyrs where I'm walking around, feeling like this rigidness all day, right? So now, as I'm writing out in my mind, I want to be able to
put together words that will be impactful in the world when I'm gone. So put my love out to the world that's impactful when I'm gone. Put my spirit out to the world so it's impactful when I'm gone. And so when you think like that, I feel like for me, it's been a little bit, even though I'm in like a stressful situation, when I think like that, like sometimes I find myself writing and I'm smiling. So it's like, because I know that I'm doing something that will last forever, like time, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, time is forever. Kind of like this, I'm like a waiting, like, and then, you know what I mean?
Which may I mean, over there, I mean, been ready, so it's time to go. Okay.
So hands on your knees. Your bow. So we might need to move your head.
Man, I kind of agree with Steve. Like, there was a time when I wasn't being very productive. And when I first came to the penitentiary, too, the depression monster had a hold of me, you know, so that includes suffering. Like, I can suffer courageously, you know, and like, I've adopted those principles into my life. Like, I get up because I know I got shit, I got stuff to do. I got something I can always be working on. I got opportunities, I got schooling, I got relationships to maintain. I just got things to do, man, other than lay in that bed and fight with depression and wilt away in here, you know. So I think it was important when I learned that you can even suffer with courage and you can find meaning in that. And I believe that we all are suffering in here, but we do it courageously, and I think it's admirable, and that's what gets me up. I got things to do, you know. I'm trying to get home too. I got 3 kids, and my mom's still out there alive and struggling, and she needs me, and I have a lot of motivation to get home and to be better.
What motivates me to get up every morning and do what I do is I know that I got to shape my legacy. I also know that I'm in a fight for my life and the lives of other people. I equate my path through life as becoming a child soldier at an early age to becoming a freedom fighter now. Shutting this place down, changing policies if I can, building a community, providing another path for future generations. Those are all the things that motivate me. And in the process, trying to reclaim my life, also redefine my life, and redefine my person, my position in this life. With that, I'm in.
decades in the making, and it is liberal people that are feeding us. Like, what is the antidote to that? And is there something in the film and all the footage you all have, and the story that you're telling, that is creating a counter narrative?
I feel like once you